Okay, so here's how we're going to talk today about how to earn Premier and Elite points. We've got about 25 minutes, so I have everybody on mute. If you guys have questions, just make sure to type them in the chat box below so we can go through this in enough time. So what we kind of want to talk about in the beginning is, for those of you who are pushing to be elite, sort of the perks of being elite. You get the title of the elite coach, which means that your team has sort of reached this benchmark. Every elite coach gets a $100 bonus for the months that you hit Success Club 5 or 10, and we used this last year. So it would be for 2016, and the months that you are a paid 5-star diamond for at least 1 week in that calendar month. So every coach gets a $100 bonus. The top 200, so if you finish in the rankings at 200 or below, you will receive an additional 400. So that's that $500 bonus. Up through 2014, everybody got the $500 bonus. For 2016, it was something that they had changed. And for 2015 as well. You will also get 2 VIP seats at Summit next year. That's right on the floor. That's, right in front of the stage on the field. You will have on-stage recognition at Summit. You'll get your elite medal. You'll get your elite jacket. You have additional perks through the year, such as the invitation to the elite evening at Summit, which is the elite event, priority registration for pretty much everything. We registered a week ago for the Success Club trip. You'll have priority registration for things like your workshops at Summit, the workouts at Summit, things for leadership. You'll have priority registration for front of the line access. You don't wait in line at Summit for pretty much anything in the core. You have VIP seating for the general sessions at Summit. You have front of the line access to the workouts, either at Summit or at leadership. Your express line checkout in the core. You have VIP seating at leadership, and extra night at leadership. Invitations to elite receptions, as well as there are elite and premier receptions, both on the Success Club trips and on the Success Club trips. There is an elite and a premier reception on each of the Success Club trips. That's in addition to the little perks that you get throughout the year, which are sneak peeks to the workouts, being privy to new things that are being released, whether they are Shakeology flavors or programs or new things that are going to be going on. We're asked to often participate in test groups. We had the benefit of being in the test group for the performance line last year. All of the elite coaches got to try out the performance line starting in April of last year, before it was released at Summit at the end of July. So that's one of the great perks. So the qualifications, let's talk about that. So for the qualifications for elite, you have to be a 5-star diamond. Now, the way that this works is you have to go through your 6 weeks of qualification and be a paid 5-star diamond, which means that you've got to get through your 6 weeks of qualification to actually rank up to 5-star. And then you have to be a 5-star the very last week of the year, because that's when they will do the tallies. And I'm just looking at the date because I don't know the date offhand. So you'd have to not only be a 5-star at some point throughout the year, get to 5-star, but you also have to be a paid 5-star diamond when you wake up on December 29th, which means that your absolute last day to start 5-star qualification would be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. November 24th, which is probably Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving. So that would be your absolute last day that you could start qualification for 5-star for the end of the year to be elite for 2016. You have to have 2 lifetime diamonds. So if you're 3-star or under, you're going to have those no matter what, because you've got to pop at least 2 to get to 5-star. So you have to have 2 new lifetime diamonds, and those diamonds also have to be obviously paid diamond the last week of the year. And you have to have 135 elite points, and there is a cap on each category. We're going to go through the categories in a second. So for Premier, you have to be a 2-star diamond, which is also the last week of the year, which means you'd also have to start qualification on that same day, on Thanksgiving Day. 2 new lifetime diamonds, and those diamonds have to be paid diamond that last week of the year as well. And 135 Premier points. Now, Premier points are the same as elite points, except there's a difference in that there's not a cap on the categories for Premier. So you can get the bulk of your points from one category without having to divide them sort of evenly between each of the 3 categories like you do for elite. So let's go over the different areas. So we have the ATV, which is your advancement team volume. Your advancement team volume is all of the PV from all of the coaches in your first 3 levels of sponsorship. So the great way to break this down is if your personally sponsored coaches are your kids, it would be your kids, your grandkids, and your great-grandkids. So all of their PV, the first 3 levels. You get 1 point for every 10,000 year over year. So if and I'm gonna kind of give you an example on the next slide. We'll show how that works. The next category is your PSPV, or the personal volume of your personally sponsored coaches. This category comes from your coaches in the current year only. So coaches that you sponsor in 2016, for every 500 PV that they generate, you're going to get 1 point. And then for your personally sponsored coaches hitting Success Club, and that's your 2015 and 2016 coaches. Those are the ones that count for elite for 2016. So your ATV. So every 10th, I know this is not my ATV. This presentation was made by another coach who was way better in PowerPoint than I am. And for those of you who are visual, she shared this with me so you guys can kind of see how this works. So if we take your previous year's ATV, which if you go into your back office, you go to the My Business tab and My Qualifications, you can see your Elite and Premier qualifications. This is updated the second Friday of every month. So once you're a diamond, even if you fall out, which you shouldn't, but once you're a diamond, you can see this and it will update every month. So if you want to keep them for the whole year, make sure that you download the PDF so you can kind of compare month by month, because it will just update on that screen. We don't get the emails anymore. So they'll show you your previous year's ATV, and then they'll show you where your current year is at. So for those of you who have a larger ATV, it's going to take you a little further into the year to surpass that. So you're going to get 1 point for every 10,000 year over year. So by this, she increased her ATV roughly 200,000 year over year, which is roughly 20 points. So you'll get 1 point. For elite, you have to have at least 13 points. That's the way that it works out with the categories. You have to have at least 13 points for elite. For Premier, that matters a little less because there's no cap on the categories. So you have a little bit of wiggle room there. So for your PSPV, every 500 personal volume accumulated from your 2016 coaches only is 1 point. For elite, the max that you can receive in this category is 61 points. The more coaches you sign earlier in the year, the more points you'll have. So if you're going to do a big sponsorship blitz, you want to do that the first quarter of the year, January, February, March, to really try to max out that category. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. So your PV is accumulated. So it's not 500 PV from each individual coach. They'll pull it week by week. They'll aggregate it all together. And like here it says, if one coach has 90 PV, you signed up another coach with a challenge pack that was 135 PV for them. Then you had another coach who sold the challenge pack, had their Shakeology shipped. They've got 275 PV. That comes to 500 total, so that's 1 point. It's all aggregated together. And these are from 2016 coaches only. Then you have your coaches in Success Club. So every 2015 and 2016 coach that qualifies for Success Club. So they not only have to have their points, they have to make sure that their Shakeology ships or they have 90 PV on Home Direct. We had a few instances last year. Coaches were wondering why they weren't listed as qualified for Success Club when they had 13 points. Well, if you put your Shakeology on hold, you're not going to qualify for Success Club. For Elite, again, your max is 61 points. For Premier, you have no cap. If you are somebody who is pushing for Premier or Elite, you already make Success Club a non-negotiable every month. When you do this, your points will double. That's why this category is money, because you're getting 2 points for every individual coach that's hitting Success Club. So if you've got 3 coaches who hit Success Club, that's 6 points right away for you for that month. Because you've got 3 coaches who are hitting Success Club, that's 3 points, but then you're hitting Success Club, so those points are going to double. Then we have the multiplier. This is where you can really sort of make up ground with your points for the year. So if you advance 4 or 5 coaches to Diamond, which if you are a Diamond or a 1-star, you're going to have to do that anyway, your ATV is multiplied by 10%. If you advance 6, your ATV is multiplied by 20%. The easy way to figure this out is to take your current ATV, whatever it is, when you get your first email, you'll multiply it by 1.1 or by 1.2. That's the number that they'll then go by and then take away your last year's ATV. So it's 10% on whatever and that's not calculated monthly. That's going to be added on at the end of the year. So if you finish with roughly 500,000, to pick a round number, and you have 4 or 5 diamonds and they're all paid as diamond the last week of the year, you'll basically get an extra, they'll take your ATV, whatever it is, 500,000, they'll multiply it by 1.1, it'll give you 550,000, and then they'll take away last year's ATV. So it's an additional 5 points. So for some coaches, that's make or break at the end of the year. Here's an example. So this is, again, not mine. She advanced 5 diamonds. So her ATV at the end of the year she'd have 10% added onto that. So it's roughly 72,000. So she'd roughly have an extra 7 or 8 points added on at the end of the year. Like the reports come every second Friday, the second Friday of every month, in your online office to lifetime diamonds or above. So you can download them as a PDF, you can print them out, you can take a screenshot, do something to save them. So if you look on the left at the Premier Points column, you'll see that there's no max on any of the categories. So you can earn as many as you need to in those categories. So if you have the bulk of your points coming from personally sponsored coach PV, maybe you have a handful of coaches who you sign up this year who are crazy retailers. That's great. They'll bump up this category a lot. That'll also raise your ATV. By naturally doing both of these 2 things, this category will grow. As you can see here, you've got your caps. This is the max you can achieve in each category for elite. And these are the points that they calculate your elite ranking by. ATV is not factored into this. It's simply your PSPV and your personally sponsored coaches who are hitting Success Club. So here's your roadmap to get to elite. So I can post this in the Diamond page. I can post this in the team page. You guys can print this out. You've got to have a minimum of 2 diamonds on each leg. You can get to 4-star with 1 diamond on one leg and 3 on the other, but you can't get to 5-star that way. You've got to have at least 2 diamonds on each leg. So if you are a coach who has a crazy strong power leg, push for Premier. Do not push for elite unless you want to lose money, because it's not worth it for you to do that unless you're capped at 2-star, which nobody is. So you want to make sure that this building for elite makes sense for you and your business. If you're somebody who has even legs, you can build for elite. If you've got a crazy strong power leg, not a smart idea. Push for Premier, get to 2-star, max out your weak leg, and then take a look at building to 5-star. But I wouldn't recommend it if you want to earn money, because you'll lose money by adding coaches to your strong leg to push for diamonds. So we've already decided 2016 is going to be amazing. There is an elite goal guide if you are a diamond or above and you are in your regional diamond and 1-star page. There is an elite goal guide that is there. I believe there's one in the files in our team page. If there's not, I'll load it in there. Basically, it gives you your entire roadmap for how to plan out your year. If you're pushing for elite or if you are pushing for Premier. You don't have to be somebody who signs up 30 coaches a month. You don't have to be somebody who has 15 coaches a month, hit Success Club. If you sponsor 3 to 5 coaches a month, 3 coaches a month, if you get 3 coaches a month to hit Success Club every single month, everything will grow and it will naturally happen. Sponsoring 3 to 5 coaches a month, having 3, maybe 5 coaches a month, hitting Success Club consistently. That's the basic groundwork that you need for elite. So does anybody have questions? We have a couple minutes left. No? Okay. All right, guys, we will post this recording in the team page. If you have coaches that have expressed interest about pushing for this goal, make sure that you tag them in the recording once it's loaded. And I hope that everybody has a great week. Make sure that you all save this link. This is the link every week. We have a fantastic speaker coming on next week's call. She's a dear friend of mine. We've been trying to coordinate our schedules for months now. Superstar Diamond Millionaire Club member Brigitte Linford is going to be on our call next week telling us about her journey to 15-star, to the Millionaires Club, and sharing her best tips for us. I'm super excited to have her on. So don't miss it. Make it a great week. And that's it. Make sure you all register for the Success Club trip tomorrow. And if you are not on a team prep team yet, make sure that you hop on a team and get registered. Have a great day, guys.